So, hello everyone. We are back to one more session, one more conversation, and this one about the female active or the award for female activists focused on sustainability and/or climate emergency. So, Carolina, congratulations for winning the award, and to Jane and to go with Flo. Thank you very much for the support and for being here with us. So. Carolina, before anything, I think it's important for us to know a little bit more about you and your path and what you are doing. So please share with us more about your journey. That I know it's quite long in a sense that you have done a lot of different things. So please share with us.
Thank you so much, Inês. Thank you, Jane, and thank you for the award. Honestly, it's not about the award. For example, Laura is already working. I'm working already with Laura Lourenço, one of the top 3 finalists, and I think that is one of the things that these kind of gatherings that you create through a recognition, let's call it, it's a chance for all of us women. Sit at the same table, talk about things that we consider that we need to walk the talk. And I think if there is a topic that everyone should really take care is sustainability, because it's no longer about sustainability, it's about people, planets, and existence, let's call it. Regarding and just to try to answer and reply to your question in a short and brief story, I think starting at ILO, a UN agency, changed completely the way that I see and that I understood the importance and the relevance of stakeholder management. And that influenced every single thing about myself and my life, I would say, professional and personal, because I think you cannot split both. And for the last years, I would say 12 almost, I've been working in sustainability regarding mainly people who were excluded in a certain way. So let's talk about unemployed, inmates, youngsters who do not have a chance to be included. And I think that is really what I truly believe in is when we are talking about sustainability, we are not talking about social corporate responsibility. We are talking about leaving no one behind. And for that matters, I would say that for the last 12 years, I had the blessing to work within corporate, for example, at Mercer, but at the same time to become and be an entrepreneur. And so that's the topic of sustainability and translating sustainability into business has been what I've been doing, I would say, for the last year and a half.
Great. Thank you very, very much, Carolina. It's great to see your enthusiasm and your drive to actually have a positive impact in the world, which is great. Jane, you also you arrived in Portugal quite recently, or maybe a year and a half ago, and and basically this topic, the diversity and inclusion, is something that's very important for you, but also very important for the company. Can you tell us a little bit more about the topic, why you decided to get involved with the Portuguese Women in Tech Awards, and we can start from there.
Sure. Well, first of all, Carolina, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Your story and what you've done is incredibly inspiring, and we are so delighted to be the ones that can recognize that. Thank you so much. So it is literally this week, a year ago, that I arrived.
Sorry, I think we are having problems hearing you. I'm not sure if it's the microphone, because there's like a lot of interference with the microphone. Not yet. Let's see. No, now we cannot hear you. Oops. Now you are muted. Maybe you can unmute yourself. Yes, it's better.
Okay. So I was saying it's literally a year ago this week that I arrived officially and moved from the US here to Portugal. And it's been a delight. So I had actually been working in Porto for a while and around, but physically moved the family and so on about a year ago. So from the standpoint of diversity and inclusion, though, I started, my history is one of, I was one of very few women electrical engineers in my class when I was at Texas A&M University. So I've always faced sort of this percentage of being very, minimized in the percentage of people who were doing what we were doing. And I was always a driver for in expanding the number of women in the work that was being done and so on. And so as I worked through my career and got involved in the businesses and so on, I got involved in women's entrepreneurship and women in technology, and trying to get younger girls who were in middle school and elementary school to recognize that technology wasn't just math or engineering or software programming, that technology was such an expansive opportunity for creative as well as mathematical skills, and that the world was changing, and that we actually needed to have a broad base of experience and diversity of race, ethnicity, gender diversity, and so on. And so I've tried to continue that mission throughout my career as I've come here to run GoWithFlow, which is a Portuguese company, primarily Portuguese talent. And so my mission is to expand and to diversify that. And that's why I think that I was given the opportunity really to come here and relocate and to do that. And we're really at the beginning part of that journey, and I'm super excited about what the future holds.
Oh, for sure. And I think, yeah, and I think it's also great to have your also international experience, because even though in Portugal we have been discussing diversity and inclusion for a few years, I think our conversation still has a long way to go before it actually achieves a maturity that you find in other countries like the US, UK, and others. So I think bringing your expertise, your experience here, I think is actually very, very important. So thank you for that, and also thank you for from day one wanting to be engaged in these kind of initiatives. Now, Carolina, for another question for you. You are an entrepreneur. I've known, actually, we've known each other for a few years, and I know that you have been an entrepreneur all the way. What has been that drive of entrepreneurship? Even though you mentioned you work in the corporate environment, but I would love to understand what has been the drive for your entrepreneurial journey until now.
Being straightforward with you, I truly believe that I could do exactly the same within a company. The thing is, what I truly wanted is to choose the people that I was working with, alignment, the purpose and the cause that I wanted with my team to deliver, and be open to be creative. Just the creativity, the art of possibility, the intersection of knowledge. I do not want to work every single day just transforming a company to become better. I want to work within data. I want to create descriptive analytics to measure, to assess ESG within companies. I want to try and deliver the same amount of energy that I used to put at Sapana. I wanted just to try, And the thing is, when you try as an entrepreneur, you are going to fail. And Inês, I failed a lot. But failing within a company that is open to it, perfect. But if it's not open, you are going to be fired. And if you have your own company, you can try. And of course, you have to keep business running, but trying and take the risk and just to see what happens. And one of the reasons I think Adelaide, who nominated me to be here, one of the things that I've never worked as you girls and ladies, the ones that have been here talking about, with technology. I'm the worst. My husband was like, "You with tech? Come on, Caro." The thing is, we created at our company, our B Corp, an assessment that nowadays and we started with a Word document, but nowadays is a business / descriptive analytics assessment. And the main goal is to transform it into machine learning. So if you ask me, I think we should not talk about entrepreneurship nowadays without considering tech. But tech is almost, it's like an Aegean factor. You have to take into consideration technology for almost every single business.
Yeah,
So
I think exactly. I think we have like this. I think this like the baseline is already very technological, because I think technology is here to help to grow businesses, and no matter the kind of businesses that we are talking about. But I think another question for you, Caroline: how do you balance? Because you were also an activist, and you are very active and very active in terms of using your voice to fight for the good causes. Like, how do you balance like a business with your more activist profile with this and with this energy from a social entrepreneur? So, like, how do you do that?
I was discussing this with I'm only child and my husband as well, and we've made the decision to stay in Portugal. But I wanted to go, for example, my country would be New Zealand, and we were discussing to take you. I'm surrounded by love, and honestly, being straightforward with you, the reason why I'm working as a consultant, strategic and business consultant, and at the same time doing my PhD, and at the same time teaching, and at the same time writing things about causes and missions that are basically my purpose, to be alive and to be here at this planet, in this planet. I think the reason why is because I have the right people next to me. I do not work by myself. I delegate every single thing that I can. I do not waste. I try not to waste time with things that I'm not good enough, and people are much better than I am. But at the same time, that I'm no longer needed. The reason why I truly believe that when you have a one-woman show kind of company or NGO, is going to die. It's not going to last. The reason why I left Sapana as I did is because my team was doing a much better job after my 8 years of leadership there than I was. And I think that is the only way that you can tackle a lot of topics. And being an activist, and thank you for that, because I've never considered myself as one, and thank you.
You don't have to thank me, like other people nominated and voted for you, so it's not something like, unfortunately, we don't control that process. So but I think people recognize in you and in your work that activism that I think is very clear from the way you talk and the passion that you also show for the projects.
Ines, the thing is, I do not have any topic that I work with or that I'm studying about that they are not interconnected. So my PhD is about human rights. It's about the S of the ESG, basically. My work and the subjects that I teach at university are about people, S again. And then I have people who are next to me who tell me, if you do not do it now, when are you going to? And I do not. I think it's about that change. I think it's about not having the judgment at home, not from my family, not from my husband. But I was blessed for sure because I have them next to me. But at the same time, you have to pick your battles. Yeah, and one of the battles that I didn't want to pick was fighting about time and wasting time with it.
No, I think that you mentioned several important topics about collaboration, about doing things as a team. I think as problems are more and more complex, things like around sustainability, climate change, and climate emergency are becoming more evident. I think we need to collectively actually work together to make sure that we solve them. So I think that's definitely a very important message. Jane, for you now, what advice do you give women, girls that want to pursue a career in technology like you did, what advice do you give these women? What do you think are what are important things to take in consideration, and what are the big advantages of working in this field?
Well, I mean, I think it starts first with believe that you have the right to be there, right? That you have the innate capabilities, the inherent intelligence and curiosity to be at the table. I worry sometimes that technology, especially when you have younger girls who are thinking that it's about something that's not them. But technology is pervasive. It is the way that we do business. It's the underpinnings. We've talked about this just in this conversation about it's fundamental. And so I think for anyone wanting to enter into a field, I look at GoWithFlow. We are a technology-based company, but we're enabling significant change in sustainable mobility. It's about mobility. And in all honesty, the women, we could spend a lot of time talking about equality and mobility for age and for gender and so on. And the perspectives that women can bring to the table, young women, any woman, it contributes to the knowledge and the content of a company that could be a technology-based company like ours. So you know, we were actually recently interviewing for a position, and one of the challenges was describe to your grandmother the difference between a combustion engine vehicle, diesel or electric, and an AV. It's not about technology. I mean, like in the sense of it's about how fundamentally we are having a shift in energy in the world and how things will be done in the future. And so to me, it's more like don't at all be thinking that you're not, number one, qualified or capable or any of those things. Be curious, be passionate. And if what the company is doing is in the area of interest that you have, whether it's fashion, whether it's biofuels, whether it's sustainable mobility, whether it's any of those things, you deserve to be there. And there's a role within the company for you. You don't have to be a developer necessarily, or you don't have to be a data scientist, or you don't have to be a financial person. You can be who what you bring to the table, and look for those opportunities, and look for women like us who can open doors for you. I mean, every day I tell people, like, look, I am happy to make introductions. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I think that the topic is actually very important, especially in a country like ours, I think, where people are a little bit shy and embarrassed of asking for help, asking for mentorship, asking for introductions. And I think in US, I think that culture is much more alive, and people, it's how you do business. But I think here, people usually are very much afraid of asking, and offering as well, actually. So it's not only the asking part, it's also the offering, because it's not that it's seen badly. It's just it's not something that people have in their culture. I think that's something, there's a lot of change to do here, and having that example, as you mentioned, is very important.
It's ultra deferential and ultra respective. So more respectful than it needs to be. I think there's a built-in expectation that someone at a certain level or in a certain isn't going to be open to helping. I mean, and I think that that's something in the US that we don't have that same approach. I don't know. And so I'm hoping to bring more of that openness and that confidence, and that, what's the worst that can happen? If you ask for something, and someone, and I've said this before, if you ask for something, more than likely, if someone isn't able to help you, they'll say, look, I'm not able to help you, but here's somebody who might be able to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a question that I ask a lot of times, what's the worst that can happen? And most of the time is actually, the answer is something that we are actually very comfortable with. And I think we need to, our society, our culture needs to be less risk averse, because I think we are very risk averse, and I think we need to be a little bit more forward, more take risks and ask questions, ask for help in order for us to do what we want to do. Carolina, you want to say something?
Sorry, no, just to say something. And I think one of the reason why it happens so much here and around the globe, because we mingle in our identity. with asking for help. So rejection is not rejection to our asking for help or to our behavior. It's a rejection to yourself, to your identity. So you mix both concepts. And the thing is, we shouldn't. Because people maybe are not able to help you at this stage, but as Jane was sharing, they can introduce you to someone. And another thing is, we need business safari. We need think tanks within universities. We need to bring Jane to the table, to the first grade in the law school. We need people to talk about topics without being afraid to give a role model, to become a reference. Because we've seen in the last 13 talks almost that people were influenced, empowered, inspired within university or with someone that they named mentor.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, we need to be surrounded by that connectivity, intersection of knowledge, I would say. Different topics.
No, for sure. And I think you mentioned something that and in the conversation that I have been having is like people and women especially have a hard time being that reference that you were mentioning, that model, that mentor. And I think it has to do with the lack sometimes of confidence, the fact that I think our culture and so on. But I think it's so important, because if you want to inspire the next generations to actually join a career in technology or become entrepreneurs, become activists, work in these fields, I think we need to really show the path. And of course, maybe we might not take it all the way, but we are building creating this path for them, and then it's up to them to decide where they want to go next. And I think that's super important. So we are our time is over. Thank you very much, Carolina and Jane, for being here. Thank you very much, Jane, and GoWithFlow to be a sponsor of these awards. Carolina, congratulations, good luck, keep the energy high. There is a lot of things that need to be done. So thank you very much.